acknowledge a few of them. Sonia, for one thing, thank you so much, Sonia. Curtis Lovett, he's cried with me and prayed with me. And thank you so much. Jim and Fred, thank you for allowing me to be a mouthpiece for Main Street Ministries and for trusting me with that task. And it's been truly an honor. Lynn and Steve have stood behind me. Miss Dorothy trained me at Operation ID. I've been a client of Main Streets and also a volunteer there, and I'm truly grateful for that. Pastor Birchfield has been my pastor. I'm a member of this church, and I'm truly honored for all the people that are in this room. And I want to start off with a scripture that I hope you'll find relevant after I tell you a little bit about my story. And it's Galatians 2:20, and it says that I've been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I live now in the flesh, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. So I know you guys know this David, but I want to share a little bit with you guys about the David that you don't know. I grew up, my dad was a private pilot, and I spent a lot of time at the airport. He loved flying almost more than he loved my mother. My mother was a local celebrity, so I would many mornings wake up on a Saturday and see my mom doing jazzercise on TV when I'd get up in my pajamas to watch Saturday morning cartoons. And I grew up riding, I've been riding motorcycles since I've been 6 years old, so while everybody else wanted to be a cowboy or a fireman, I wanted to be Evel Knievel my whole life. I joined the Air Force at the age of 17, and I traveled the world. I have had my feet in the Jordan River. I've buzzed the pyramids in a Huey helicopter. I held my friend on the side of the road in Puerto Rico and watched him grasp his last breath. I have 6 kids. I spent 8 years on the run on a felony warrant on some drug charges. You remember back when people's pictures used to be posted in the post office. I was one of those guys, actually. I actually overdosed at Woodstock in '99. So I've been to prison 3 times. I've been a carpenter my whole life, and actually have a small business out in Kingwood. In 2009, I had a motorcycle wreck, and I was paralyzed from the neck down. I actually had to learn to walk and use my arms and legs again. I've lived a full life. I've lived a full life very far from God. In 2013, on October 21st, God sent the Montgomery County Police Department. I brought visuals. God sent the Montgomery County Police Department in to save my life. He knew I was ready. I didn't know I was ready yet, but he did. He sent them in, and they arrested me with warrants from 2 different counties, from Harris County and Montgomery County. And I got to Harris County first, and pretty much hit the ground running with God sent his angels to start ministering to me. People in the cell that they put me in started talking to me about God, and I thought, well, I probably have some time to investigate this man of Jesus. So I started immediately, and he immediately started to bless me. I got the best job in the Harris County Jail. I was working in booking. Everybody that came into the jail had to see David, and you guys that have worked with me at Operation ID know how much I love to talk, so it was the perfect job. So I signed for 5 months there in the Harris County Jail, and I ate good, and God just really took care of me, so I started to investigate him some more. I got transferred from there to Montgomery County, where my heavy charges were. And when I got there, they let me know that not only was I being charged with a felony 1 for manufacturing and delivery of methamphetamine, I was also being charged for an habitual felon, which carried a 25 to life sentence. I was scared to death, but I was starting to trust God. I got a great job. Again, God blessed me with the best job in Montgomery County while I was in there. I really started to investigate God heavily. I worked in the kitchen in Montgomery County while I was there, opened up an officer's dining room. I cannot cook a lick. I eat beanie weenies at my house every night. I got a job working in the cooking breakfast for the officers there in Montgomery County. That's what kind of God I serve. And I was able to not only then bring the word to the inmates, but also to the police officer that came in there. The same ones that chased me around Montgomery County for the last 15 years got to see my transformation and the power of God in there. And I was still scared to death. I was fighting this case, and I kept telling myself that no matter what happened with this case, my sentence wasn't coming from Montgomery County. It was coming from God, that I trusted God, and He was going to give me what I deserved. And so on 9/10 of 2014, I stood on the rec yard of Montgomery County and was baptized with 6 other ex-gang members, tattooed from head to toe, crying and praising God in a full baptismal with a Montgomery County constable, a cowboy. We were praising and hugging each other and crying, fully teared. And when I got back to my bunk that night, I don't even remember walking back. I think I actually floated. I knelt down beside my bunk and I said, God, if your will for me is to get 25 years and to take your word into prison, I trust you. Please don't let that happen, but I trust you. I took the case all the way to trial, and the day before trial, my lawyer, who hadn't done anything for me the whole time, walked into court the day before trial with a gold cross on her neck and a band on her wrist that said blessed, and said that she'd closed her practice down in Montgomery County and she was the new prosecuting attorney of Grimes County, and would I sign for a 2-year sentence. I started to bawl, and I told my attorney, I know this is from God. I knew it was from God. I was released. I was sent to the Gurney unit, and oh, I got another visual. I was sent 2 weeks later to the Gurney unit. They shaved my hair off, and on January 5th of 2015, not that long ago, I was released from TDC to start my new walk in life with God out in this world, and it was scary. I was scared to death. I was led to Main Street Ministries to get an ID and a birth certificate first, and I felt God's Spirit there, and I left, and shortly after being bounced around to a couple different programs, I got a bed over here at US Vets right down the street from Main Street Ministries. And I came through the doors again of Main Street Ministries and became a work faith graduate. I started forming a relationship with me and Curtis, and a week after I graduated, Curtis took me down and introduced me to Patsy and Phil and said, give this kid a chance. I loved working at Operation ID. Like, it became the new passion of my life. I would run down here and make coffee. I was one of the first ones in the door every morning. I loved working there. I loved helping people. And I heard God telling me that, just hold on, David, I have a plan for you. I've been a carpenter for 25 years, and everybody around me kept telling me that you're going to have to get a job, David. You're going to have to go back. And I knew that going back to that life, everything about it wasn't what God had planned for me. I wanted to work with people, and I didn't have a degree in anything that would give me the right to do that, although I was a child now of the King, and I knew that He had this plan for me. So through my work at Operation ID, the U.S. Vets saw what a passion I had for helping people, and they said, David, you would make a great recovery coach. I said, what is a recovery coach? Like, I had no idea a job like this even existed, and I ran home that night. And you could have put my picture on the description of this job. So the U.S. Vet sent me to the class, and 2 weeks later, the Council on Recovery called me up and said, David, we want to give you a paid internship here at the Council, part-time, to come and do your clinical hours. So I worked there for 6 months, doing my internship. As soon as my internship was done, the council called me in and said, we want to hire you on full-time. I became a full-time employee at the Council on Recovery over in the Heights. I work in the mornings in the OSARS department, outreach, screening, and referral. I get to work with other addicts and and greet them in and let them know that, hey, it's all right. Like, I get it. I've been here, and if this is possible for me, it's possible for you. I have been working my afternoons at US Vets downtown as a recovery coach, as a peer support specialist. But that grant just ended, so next week I will be going to Search Homeless Services. The council signed a 2-year contract for me to work over there. I got a couple last little things I want to tell you about. Another great thing that God did that I actually shared at the Main Street golf outing. I've been struggling, 6 kids, right, and I haven't actually, paid a lot of my support most of my life. I've been bouncing in and out of prison and running from the law and doing all kinds of other things. So they take a lot of my check. I was really struggling financially, and I told the council that I might have to leave and find some better employment. And they said, no, David, hold on, let us find something else for you to do. And so 2 weeks later, the CEO of my company came and said, David, we think we found something for you. And I said, yeah, what is it? And they said, well, we have a church that wants to come in and hold service here at the council. I said, wow, that's great. That's something I'd really love to do. That's what I do on Sundays anyways. And I said, what church is it? And they said, well, it's this young pastor. He came out of First Presbyterian. I said, really? I'm a member there. And they said, well, his name is Jeremiah Morris. And I said, oh my God. I started to cry. I said, and the CEO of my company is not actually a woman of faith. And I said, Mary, this is a God thing. So I've actually been blessed to, I do service every Sunday with Jeremiah. I go to church with a lot of the same people that I went to church right here, but God set it up so I can get paid to go to church. Like, who gets to do that? Another couple things is, so I mentioned that I was able to speak for Main Street Ministries for the second time. Thanks again, Fred and Jim, for allowing me to do that at the Pro-Am golf tournament. And so I'm sorry this isn't better color, but this is my friend Raymond Jones also came with us, and Sonia. You see me there in the middle with the big grin on my face, just as happy as I can be. And I also, just last week, this is truly a God thing here. This is how much my life has changed by just surrendering and following God, is that last week was the council's fall luncheon, and we had Wonder Woman come, Lynda Carter, as our speaker. And so I was actually, the council trusts me enough to, I was in the green room. And so this is a picture of, this is former NFL quarterback Ryan Leaf, myself, and Lynda Carter in the green room. So that's God working right there. So to come from where I've come. So I'm a devotional guy. This is the last thing I'll share with you. And last year at the Main Street golf outing, a golf pro named Bill Rogers sent me this devotional. It's my utmost for my highest, Oswald Chambers. I wake up every morning and I pray and I read 10 devotionals, and this has been part of it ever since he sent it to me. And I thought it seemed ironic that when I woke up this morning, this was today's devotional. After sanctification, and let me just stop right there and tell you that by no means do I think I've been sanctified at this point, but after sanctification, it is difficult to state what your purpose in life is, because God has moved you into his purpose through the Holy Spirit. He is using you now for his purpose throughout the world, as he used his Son for the purpose of our salvation. If you seek great things for yourself, thinking God has called me for this or for that, you barricade God from using you. As long as you maintain your own personal interest and ambitions, you cannot completely align or identify with God's interest. This can only be accomplished by giving up all your personal plans once and for all, and by allowing God to take you directly into his purpose for the world. Your understanding and your ways must also be surrendered, because they are now the ways of the Lord. I must learn that the purpose of my life belongs to God, not me. God is using me for his great personal perspective, and all he asks of me is that I trust him. I should never say, Lord, this causes me such heartache. To talk that way makes me a stumbling block. When I stop telling God what I want, he can freely work his will in me without any hindrance. He can crush me, exalt me, or do anything else he chooses. He simply asks me to have absolute faith in him and his goodness. Self-pity is of the devil, and if I wallow in it, I cannot be used by God for his purpose in the world. Doing this creates for me my own cozy world within the world, and God will not allow me to move from it because of my fear from being frostbitten. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for supporting me and all your prayers and everything that you guys have done for me. I truly love Main Street Ministries, and you guys have been such a great part of my walk, and thank you for everything.